what is up, everybody? Welcome back to Fantasy First here on the High Stakes Sports Debates Network. And guess what? It's the start of the regular season. Woo! I'm so freaking excited. You guys don't know how excited I am. I mean, we've been waiting what seems like forever now, okay? I mean, you get sick of the wait after a while. Thank God for Major League Baseball. Otherwise, I probably would have shot myself by now. And seriously, that's not even a joke. So today, week 1 starts. I'm hoping to get this video out by tonight, like an hour before the game, so you guys get your updates, because I told you I'm going to give y'all your weekly updates. So, looking at tonight's game, the Steelers travel to Foxborough to play the Tom Brady-led New England Patriots. Who would have thought that Tom was going to play? But sure enough, he's the golden boy, though. I mean, you can't say no to Tom Brady. As much as people think he's a cheater, whatever. You know, you're not going to tell the golden boy no. You know, that's like telling Donald Trump or Barack Obama or Derek Jeter no. You're just not going to tell those guys no. It's just not how it works. So, week 1, studs. You're definitely starting Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, and Tom Brady. If you don't start Ben because you have better quarterback, all right, but I'm going to put Ben in this studs list. If you don't start those other guys, I'm going to find you and freaking kill you. I'll smack you up in front of your girl, your mom, make you look ridiculous because you don't get cute. Start your studs. Okay, I get Marshawn Lynch is going up against the St. Louis Rams. You got to start him. I'm sorry. You probably drafted him in the first round. You're going to bench your first-round pick? I don't think so. So, go with Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady for sure. If Ben's your quarterback 1, you definitely start him. Unless you've got like a Matt Ryan or someone like that with a really good week 1 matchup, you are starting Roethlisberger. Next, guys, sneaky plays for tonight. DeAngelo Williams, if you are a Le'Veon Bell owner and you handcuffed him, just replace them for the first 2 weeks, you're kind of forced to start D'Angelo. Now, he can catch maybe 3 or 4 passes out of the backfield. I wouldn't be surprised if guys like Dre Archer spelled in. This isn't like D'Angelo's going to be a workhorse for this team for 2 years or 2 games. I think he'll start, but I'm not sold that he's going to be the guy for the next 2 games. But if you have to start him because of the lack of depth of running back on your roster, by all means, DeAngelo Williams is a sneaky play. I think Brandon Bolden is a sneaky play here with Jonas Gray cut, LeGarrette Blount suspended. It's really just Dion Lewis, James White, Brandon Bolden. If you went complete elite quarterback and elite wide receiver and even your flex guys like a top 20 receiver, you should be putting Brandon Bolden in your lineup if you're really not sure about your running backs. So I like Brandon Bolden. Plus, in PPR, he's shown that he can catch passes. So I like Bolden potentially. Another sneaky matchup here is Heath Miller, surprisingly. The Pittsburgh Steelers are obviously lacking Martavis Bryant and Le'Veon Bell. There's a real possibility that this guy gets in the end zone, and he might only have 3 catches, but if those 3 catches go for like 30 yards and a touchdown, your tight end puts up more than 10 points for you in a PPR or close to 10 in a standard. That's pretty good, so I like him. Edelman's also a guy who I forgot to put in your studs as well. He's not a stud, but fantasy-wise with Brady, with that lack of running game in that Pittsburgh secondary, that's just Swiss cheese. Sorry. I would definitely start Julian Edelman this week. So those are my sneaky guys, though. Williams, Miller, Brandon Bolden. Everybody else, it's like I'm not really feeling safe about starting Dion Lewis or James White or Danny Amendola okay, the obvious one here is Marcus Wheaton, but it's just a little unsettling for me. If you have to start Wheaton in a flex, do it. Me personally, I try to find other options, though. So, that's tonight's game. Moving on to the Week 1 matchups. And I'm going to start with my sits. And I just kind of have a question mark in front of this Colts offense. I'm just not sure what you're going to get. This Bills defense is for real, folks, okay? I mean, this could potentially be one of the best defenses that we've seen in the last 10 years. Andrew Luck, while great quarterback, great team, I mean, you look at last year, Peyton Manning put up a dud. Demaryius Thomas had 2 catches for 11 yards in that game last year. While Jordy Nelson should have caught a touchdown pass by a beautifully thrown ball by Rodgers, he didn't. Jordy Nelson finished the day with 1 catch for 5 yards. So, I'm just not thrilled about this Colts offense. Guys like Andre Johnson. Luck you have to start. I think the skill positions are questionable. Gore in a PPR, I'm starting. I think he'll see 5 catches, a lot of dump-off passes. I think he might only rush for 50 yards, but in a PPR, I can see him putting up points. Andre Johnson, I'm unsure of. I like Roby, but will that Bills pass rush get to Andrew Luck? And I think it does. T.Y. Hilton's a deep threat. I feel a little bit safer about T.Y. Hilton this week than Andre Johnson. Just because I know that T.Y. Hilton has the speed to get down the field, and Andrew Luck trusts this guy. But at the same time, if that pass rush gets there, is he going to have enough time to get down the field? Does Andre Johnson become the preferred weapon? It's just a mess. And outside of Luck, maybe Gore in a PPR, Moving on here to sits. I'm sitting Cam Newton. Listen, I get a lot of people love the Jacksonville matchup. He might not get 20 points. I think this becomes the Jonathan Stewart show. They're going to ride this kid out until he gets hurt, which will probably be like week 3. But until week 3, I think they ride out Jonathan Stewart. He will be a workhorse back. He's a guy that I'm starting this week. With Funchess not starting, I forgot who was named the starter opposite of Ted Ginn. That's how, terrible this guy is. And usually I know most of the players off the top of my head. I don't know who's starting for Cam, for the Panthers. So I'm just... There's a rushing yard floor, but I feel like Cam's going to have to rush for 80 yards and a touchdown for him to sustain over 20 points of fantasy value this week. I'm not sitting I'm sitting Colin Kaepernick too. I'm just not a fan against that Minnesota Vikings defense that has gotten really good, especially with some of the draft picks they made the last couple of years. I really like Mike Zimmer as a coach. And is anybody sold on Kaepernick as a legitimate starting quarterback? I think he can start because of his legs, but I'm not worried about this guy beating me with his arm. So I'm starting Kaepernick. I'm just not overwhelmed by the talent around him. I mean, when Torrey Smith's your number 1, yeah. And we know what Kaepernick, it's one read. All right, I'm going to start running. So you know what you're getting there. I'm just not starting him. If I got better options, I'm going for it. So the quarterback I'm not starting is Kirk Cousins, just against that Miami defense. I'm just not even touching that, dude. You can give me Goku's power pole that can extend miles. I'm still not touching him with that pole. I'm just, the saying, 10-foot pole. Yeah, you get what I'm going with that. I'm not touching Kirk. Alex Smith is another guy I'm benching. I don't like that matchup. And he's just, I don't know. If you're in deeper leagues, 16-man leagues, and Alex Smith's your starting quarterback, I like that in a 16-man league because he has rush upside. I love the addition of Jeremy Maclin, but just a little, I don't know. I'm not running him out there week 1. I want to see what this offense can provide before I go ahead and I do that. So those are my quarterback sits. Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, Kirk Cousins, and Alex Smith. Going to my RB sits, I'm going to start with Cleveland running back Isaiah Crowell. I'm just not sold. I like the talent. They traded West, so you know the volume's going to be there. But Duke Johnson also might spell in. But at the same time, and I get it, they lost Sheldon Richardson, but Leonard Williams has looked pretty good. So I'm a little hesitant to start Isaiah Crowell. He's not exactly a great PPR back. To me, in standard leagues, it has 6 points written all over it. You're going to rush. 18 times and you might get 60 yards. It seems like one of those days for Isaiah Crowell. And this is the week I'm not starting him. I'm also not starting Alfred Morris. He doesn't catch. He's had 37 receptions his entire career. And we saw what Ndamukong Suh did in Detroit along with Nick Fairley. They were top, I think they might have even been the number 1 or 2 rush defense. Rush, not total, but rush. So I bring Suh into Miami. I'm just a little hesitant about that Alfred Morris matchup. Now, if this kid could catch, I would start him, but just a little scared there with Alfred Morris. I'm not sure he gets into the end zone this week. Frankly, it's just going to be a rough day for that Redskins offense in general. So I'm probably avoiding him. Staying in the same game, and I'm not sitting him, but I do think be aware that the Redskins were a top 12 rush defense. They added Terrence Knighton. Lamar Miller better do his dirty work out of the backfield as a receiver. I'm just not sold into pounding him 15 times a game against that rush defense. Listen, it's not dominant, but top 12's top 12, and they added pieces. So, I'm going to start him, but this is one to keep in mind that maybe if you had maybe you have an Amir Abdul as your RB3 or someone pretty serviceable that could get you 13 plus points in a PPR, I might go with them. Next guy I'm sitting is Carlos Hyde. I don't even want anything to him to do with in the first place. Just that offense looks bad. I think Reggie Bush really might be the guy to own here from a value perspective, just because this team could fall behind so much that he's constantly catching passes, and I just don't see Carlos Hyde as a 3-down back this early in the season. Wide receivers, I'm sitting. Surprisingly, Amari Cooper, I'm not sold on week 1. If you're in a position where you have to, I'm saying go for it. But against that Cincy defense, which has looked pretty good this preseason, are they going to get to Derek Carr, maybe put the blitz? They don't have Vontaze Burfict, so to me it seems like a Latavius Murray game. And he can catch out of the backfield too. Listen, I think if you play Amari Cooper, you're going to be fine in a PPR. I wouldn't expect more than 15 points. I think a Cooper in a PPR, I think he could get 6 catches for 60, 70 yards. I don't see him as blowing up his stat sheet this week. Another wide receiver I'm sitting, unfortunately, because I'm a huge fan, Sammy Watkins against Vontae Davis. They're talking about him shadowing Watkins this week. And while the Colts, you would think, they have to put up points, so the Bills have to throw more, blah, blah. This defense of the Bills is really good. So Watkins, while I like him, he's got Tyrod Taylor as his quarterback, who might make an appearance at the end of this video cast. But overall, I'm sitting Watkins. Another receiver that I'm sitting is Brandon Marshall. He's going to get the Joe Hayden effect this week. Now, Joe Hayden's a small guy. Marshall's 6'4", but it seems a little sketchy for me. Me personally, I think Decker is the wide receiver play this week. He's going to see the number 2 guy, who is Tramon Williams, but he could get more looks. I think that team ultimately, though, they're going to stack the box to try to stop the run, and you might see single coverage on the outside, and that's why in that perspective I like Decker. Marshall's still a beast. Could get in the end zone. I don't see a lot of catches, though, this week. So, those were my sits. Going to my starts now. Quarterback, Bradford. Have to start him Monday night in that Chip Kelly system. If you have a better counter argument as to why you should sit him, go ahead and comment it down below, because I feel like all I really need to say is Atlanta Falcons defense Monday night. I mean, I get that they got Dan Quinn and they got Vic Beasley and they got Jaleel Collins from LSU, and they look pretty good, but until I see it, I'm not sold on that defense. That's a joke. I'm also starting Ryan Tannehill against the Redskins. I think it's a good matchup. You could get 30 rushing yards out of Tannehill. Parker's playing. You have Cameron, who will see the middle of the field. Landry's obviously the go-to guy. Stills will be that clear-out role. I like Tannehill for 20-plus points this week. Another guy, Matt Ryan. Do I need to say anything? You're playing the Eagles. They're going to score a lot. And that's going to give, with how fast the tempo of the Eagles' offense is, you're going to get the ball a lot. I'm starting Ryan. I'm starting Matthew Stafford against the Chargers. I know it's on the road, but Calvin's healthy. We saw what a healthy Calvin did week 1 on Monday night against the Giants last year, that sick touchdown. So I'm starting Matthew Stafford with Golden Tate, with Amir Abdullah. I think he has a lot of talent around him. Excuse me. And my final starter in that same game is Phillip Rivers. They lost Sue. There's nothing really intimidating in that secondary. Yeah, you got Darius Slay, but nothing really overwhelming there. I think Rivers is a safe start for 20-plus points this week. Moving on to RBs. I'm going with Forte now. In the last episode and in my podcast, which you guys can check out on HighstakesSportsdebates.wordpress.com, along with these videos, we will start to have a weekly podcast. I'm just not sold on, I'm not sold on Matt Forte as in terms of the full season. I like this matchup, though, against the Packers. The Packers had a bad rush defense. He'll catch some balls. I think you're looking in a PPR, 15 points for Forte, potentially. I like Chris Ivory against that Cleveland defense. He's showing that he can be a factor in the pass game. I'm starting Ivory unless otherwise noted. I'm also starting Amir Abdullah. I got an update today that OC Joe Lombardi said he will be used extensively in the pass game. So at this point, until I see that Amir can't do it or he gets hurt, I'm starting him. Doug Martin in the Rookie Quarterback Bowl this weekend, I'm starting Doug. He just looked good. Whether he does it for a season or not is still yet to be determined, but as far as week 1, I'm starting him. So I'm also starting Andre Ellington in a PPR against the Saints. I think that we've seen Carson target him a crap ton this preseason, and I think that this is a good matchup for him. And my final RB starter is Jonathan Stewart. Until he gets hurt, which he will, but until he gets hurt, I think he's a borderline RB1 in a PPR. So those are my RB starters, my wide receiver starters. Devontae Adams. Do I need to say much? His quarterback's Aaron Rodgers, and he's playing the Bears. So I'm going to move on now. Charles Johnson I like on Monday night. I think you'll see a lot of the Niners stacking the box, try to stop Adrian Peterson. I think that's going to leave a lot of play action opportunities for guys like Charles Johnson, maybe even Mike Wallace, but I think Charles Johnson gets the bulk of the targets. I think that that's a great Monday night start, especially if you're employing that strategy of, I want to see my point totals and leave someone Monday night in case I need it. I like that strategy for Charles Johnson this week. John Brown against the Saints. The Saints defense is almost as bad as Pittsburgh's in terms of their secondary. John Brown's a must start for me this week. Same with Nelson Aguilar. He's going to get production. You can't throw to Jordan Matthews 50 times, okay? They will spread out the targets. I think Aguilar's looking at 6 to 7 catches this week. What his yardage is yet to be determined. Roddy White, same game. I think you're going to have Byron Maxwell looking at Julio, but outside of that, it's just bad. Maybe Jaleel Collins will spell White, but if there's any weeks I'm starting White, it might be Monday night. And Stevie Johnson, I'm definitely starting Stevie. I'm really excited to see what he will do in this Chargers offense, so I'm definitely starting this kid with a good quarterback. I mean, this dude put up 3 1,000-yard seasons with, you're scratching through the bottom of, a barrel for, bottles to dispense at the supermarket, that was his quarterback situation. Now he's got a top 8 to 10 talent. So those are my wide receiver starts. Obviously, I haven't told you guys to start Calvin Johnson or A.J. Green. Why? Because you should already be starting them. So, those are my starts for quarterback, running back, wide receiver. My tight end streams for this week. I like Larry Donald going up against the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday night. Listen, he's going to be there for a week or two, and then he's going to disappear for 4 weeks. I think this could be one of the weeks where he gets in the end zone. Victor Cruz isn't there. That's less targets to go to somebody. I like Donnell in the end zone. I think Donnell in a PPR could put up 10 points. So I think he's a nice stream. I like Vernon Davis, believe it or not, on Monday night. If Colin Kaepernick's got to get a touchdown, are you sure that it's going to be Torrey Smith or Anquan Bolden? It might be Bolden, but I think Vernon has a good chance at home in the new stadium on Monday night to get a touchdown. I'm also, like I said, Heath Miller tonight, because this video will be up before the game. I think Heath Miller has a shot for a touchdown tonight. My sneaky play at tight end is going to be Crockett Gilmore. Listen, the Denver Broncos are, probably going to put up some sort of points with Kubiak. We now know that Mark Trestman is in Baltimore. We saw Martellus Bennett get funneled a crap ton of targets, and Crockett Gilmore is not on the talent level of a Martellus Bennett, but I still like Crockett Gilmore to potentially be that guy, have maybe 5 catches. If one of them goes for a touchdown, I like that potential. This guy is a serious flyer. If you're just playing the matchups with tight end, I think he's a guy you can go with. Finally, if Zach Ertz doesn't play, I have to go with Brent Selleck here. He'll be an every down tight end in a Chip Kelly system, and we all know what Chip Kelly is. 3 of his guys, I think, have been on my start list, I think. So I'm definitely going with Brent Selleck. Finally, to end the podcast, and again, I apologize. I think my Nikon only does a certain amount of minutes per record, so that's what that hard cut's going to be there. Jets D at Cleveland. Who's their quarterback? I don't know, and I really don't care. So I'm going with the Jets D. You have Revis. I guess Revis is going to be doing a lot of Sherman yawning out there, especially when you're guarding Dwayne Bowe. So, should have drafted Sammy Watkins, Cleveland, but instead you traded back for Justin Gilbert. How does Ray Farmer even have a job right now? I don't know. So, moving on, I like the Jets D. I like the Panthers D as well. Blake Bortles, while in preseason has looked okay, we know that in the regular season he's not the same guy, although that offensive line is really bad, but it's another reason why I like the Panthers D. Plus, Luke Kuechly is a freaking monster, all right? So I like that as a sneaky play against an up-and-coming offense. I also like the Vikings D as a good streaming option. Mike Zimmer, with these draft picks, with his philosophy, he has really done wonders for this Vikings team. And they're my sleeper pick in the NFC to make the playoffs. I really like Minnesota. So Vikings D could be one of those Ds, too, that you pick up as a stream and end up becoming a season-long gig. So I like the Vikings there. My final defense is just the Packers D. Historically, Cutler loves to turn the ball over. We're not sure if Jeffrey's on the field. Brandon Marshall's long gone. You got Eddie Royal. Kevin White's hurt with a stress fracture in his shin. Is it going to be like Eddie Royal and Marquise Wilson as like the top 2 targets for Jay Cutler? Because if that's the case, I am scared. I hope in deep leagues I didn't draft Jay Cutler if I were you. At least for week 1. So, those are my matchups, my starts, my sits. My fantasy MVP for this week, for week 1, I do believe it'll be Sam Bradford. I think he puts up over 30 points this week and single-handedly wins you your league. This guy has talent with Aguilar, with Jordan Matthews. Josh Huff is a decent 3. DeMarco Murray catching passes. Ryan Matthews and Sproles catch. Just so much talent around this guy. Sam Bradford is my fantasy MVP for week 1. So, thanks for watching my video. Again, I'm sorry if it cut off there a little bit at the end. I got to try to keep these, videos sizably down, but it's hard when you fit all this information in. So, keep the questions coming every week. If you guys are out there listening, I want to hear some matchup questions. I love trying to help you guys. Again, in the description below, you can find, my Twitter, my Instagram. I'm always on there with High Stakes Sports Debates. You can tweet me there if you got any questions at all about your starting lineups. Check out the podcast version. Every week there will be a video version and a podcast version, both with different content. So you guys are going to want to check out both stuff to get the full Tom Jude fantasy experience. Not that that means much or that you give a damn, but so thanks for watching the video, guys. I really hope you guys do great with week 1. I really want to hear all your success stories. Please keep your questions coming, keep the comments coming. We got a long season ahead of us, and I look forward to sharing with you guys. So thanks for watching Fantasy First, and we will see you next time, or you will be sorry. High Stakes Sports Debates.